Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of LanceScurvX. This is just something that was running across the top of my mind. Today, I was all over the place. And I realized that there's so many more things we have to talk about in this world. And with content, I will say I'm on cruise control because the ideas just keep on flowing. And I like that. And I'm definitely going to expand this platform to encompass so much more, because there's so much more that we have to talk about. It is a big world out here, y'all. And I want to say it that way. And it's so easy for us to get caught up in our individual issues and challenges. I don't want to say problems, but when you see what's happening in the world today, you realize that our own issues in our own communities and backyards and houses, if we can't get those together, then we can never come together. Whether we agree with certain people or not, we're going to have to see over and above our own issues. And this is everybody, because when you really look at it, there is a so-called, I'm not saying they're elite like they're over us, but it's the common language that they use, the elite ruling class, who benefits from both sides of a war or multiple sides of a war, who benefits from us bickering and fussing. And they have this mind control thing, which is very good on one side, but it's called social media, and it keeps us divided because we get into these stupid arguments because we can only see part of an issue. And that's what I really want to talk about right now, because it's getting crucial. It really is, more so than ever before. So, we talk about change like it's something that'll just fall from the sky one day. We shout about justice, fairness, and peace, but deep down, we're still divided. That division is the silent killer of every movement that could have changed this world for the better. I mean, when I speak about the African community, melanated community, even what we call ourselves changes every few years. We can't even get that straight. I'm not here to knock anybody. I'm just saying that we got to go over and above right now, and everybody has got to get their house in order. But I look around and I see people from all walks of life, different skin colors, different languages, different beliefs. That should be our strength. But instead, it has become our weakness. We stand side by side, but we don't stand together. Now, I'm all for fixing the issues in my house, meaning in my community. But if we all took care of our individual communities and the things we have within it, then we're more able to come together. But the truth is simple and hard to accept. It really is. A real revolution will never happen if we cannot trust each other, and that goes for everybody. If we keep looking at one another with suspicion, fear, and hate, we'll never build anything strong enough to break the systems that hold us down. And that's the ultimate challenge as far as I'm concerned. We're living in a time where separation is pushed on us in every way possible. It's in our media, in our communities, and even in our homes. We're taught to focus on what makes us different instead of what makes us human. And we do know we have some humans out here that are humankind, and some humans out here that are HUE-MAN. So that's a whole different hurdle. But still, we have to find more in common, because when those nuclear bombs hopefully don't drop, but if they do drop, it's going to affect us all across all categories. And then we'll realize that we're collectively screwed. But as long as we stay in that separatist mindset, we will remain exactly where we are, controlled, distracted, and divided, while the real power moves quietly in the background. It's not divine power, but it moves better than us because that power, which is demonic, moves in unity. But let's get real about it. Race is one of the biggest tools used to keep us apart. Skin color has been turned into a weapon. Instead of seeing each other as human beings, we're taught to judge, fear, and even hate based on appearance. This poison has been passed down for generations, and it continues to grow because many refuse to challenge it. Now, I am going to say, I can't give you a pass just because you look like me. I've gotten my fiercest attacks from people who look like me, but I'm not giving others a pass either. You know, I've gotten severe, attacks from those folks too, from everybody. So what are we going to do? Do we wait, or do we look within and clean out all of the foolishness that we have inside of us? Because any day now, it could be over for all of us. And I'm not trying to be a doomsayer, but times are urgent. And just as much as it may be warfare with bombs and missiles and all types of stuff, it's very much a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare behind all of this. And then we have culture, something that should be celebrated, different foods, music, traditions, and ways of life that should bring joy and curiosity. But instead, people use culture as a reason to separate, to claim superiority, or to reject others. What should unite us becomes another wall between us. Religion, of course, religion is another deep divide. People hold strong beliefs. We understand that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when belief turns into judgment, when it becomes a reason to attack and disrespect others, it creates distance. Instead of learning from one another, we fight over who is right. And I see this too. We all have our stances that way. There are different religions. But when we look back on our life, to me, is it something that, the little bookends that we have in our life that limit us, like, how are you going to be remembered as far as what you did on a positive level? We fight the good fight for our individual causes, but once we're out of here, then what? Are we all talk? Or are we all about it? That's what I'm talking about. And many of us, because of this thing called social media, we feel as though we've done something by having a live stream, posting up a picture, sharing links. If we threw rocks at the enemy as much as the links that we share, and I'm not talking about any of us as human beings, I'm talking about the elite, symbolic rocks, and knew who the enemy really was, we'd be better off. But we're like going on a long trip in a car that is in the mud and the wheels are turning and we're not going anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. What are we doing with our life? Seriously. We're still just as messed up as we've ever been. And the real revolution happens when we change ourselves from within. But even the way we look physically becomes a dividing line. Whether someone is seen as attractive or not, able-bodied or disabled, people are judged and pushed aside. This creates a system where some feel valued and others feel invisible. It's not unity. That's division at its core. Lifestyle choices also break us apart. People choose how they want to live, who they love, and how they express themselves. But instead of allowing space for differences, many choose to attack what they do not understand. That lack of acceptance keeps us locked in conflict. Now, I'm not backtracking on how I feel at the core. I don't want things rubbed in my face. You do what you do behind closed doors. That's you, right? Let's not overstep. Because if a person claims a certain religion and someone else comes and pushes it on them, let them grow and evolve on their own. But with you, with the rainbow stuff, I'm not gonna be mad at you. You do what you do behind closed doors. Don't push it on our children. Don't push it. That's the only thing. You're making a big deal out of it. I ain't got no problem with it because that's you, right? And pushing it on our youngsters is not a good thing. And I do believe that most of us would understand that before they learn how to master what they're being educated on righteously that can help them in this world. We want to push Adam and Steve on them. But I don't believe in anybody harming anyone. But you have a personal life, keep it personal. And then it comes social media. One of the most powerful tools in today's world. It has the ability to connect us, but more often it divides us. And that's one of the fringe benefits from the ruling class that are invisible, that they like. Arguments spread faster than truth. People hide behind screens and say things they would never say face to face. I know that's happened with me. They would never say some of these things face to face to me. All of a sudden, we have this strength and this courage, and sometimes we don't even know what the person we argue with is real or just there to create chaos or just a bot. Imagine that. How stupid we'd feel if we realized that we were debating with something that's not even real. Now let's talk about something deeper. Something many people feel but don't always say out loud. There are forces that benefit from our division. There are people at the top who profit from war, conflict, and separation. When we fight each other, we're not focused on them. When we're divided, we are easier to control. And I can say that till the cows come home, but folks will not understand that. Think about it. If people truly came together across race, culture, religion, and lifestyle, the power structure would have to change. Unity would expose the truth. Unity would demand fairness. Unity would break systems that rely on division to survive. As simple as that. But we don't see that. But as long as we're busy arguing over small differences, the bigger picture stays hidden. The real issues never get addressed. The same cycles continue over and over again. This is not by accident. Division is not random. It's fed, encouraged, and maintained. You know why? Because it works. It works. It keeps people distracted, emotional, and disconnected from their true power. And that power is unity. Because when people truly come together, real change becomes possible. Not fake change, not those sweet words that we quickly forget. Not surface level change, but deep, lasting transformation that touches every part of society. But that kind of unity requires something many are not ready to give. It requires humility. It requires respect. It requires the ability to listen, to learn, and let go of hate and ignorance. Without that, we'll continue to spin in circles, calling for revolution while doing everything that prevents it. The truth is not comfortable, but it's necessary. We cannot keep blaming systems while feeding the very division that keeps those systems alive. At some point, we have to look in the mirror and ask ourselves what role we play in keeping things the same. Unity does not mean we all become the same. I'm not saying it at all. It means we respect each other enough to stand together despite our differences. That's where real strength comes from. If we want peace, we have to practice it with each other. If we want fairness, we have to show it in how we treat each other. It starts on a human level before it could ever reach a global level. The revolution we talk about is not just about changing systems. It's about changing how we see each other, because without that shift, nothing else will last. So the question is simple. Are we really ready to come together? Or are we going to stay divided and watch the same story play out again and again? Because how it plays out solely depends on us. And so this brings me around to those who speak on a political level, like that's going to be the way to change. That if we argue over which candidate gets in office, that's going to change things. Has it ever changed things? No, really and truly, has it ever changed things? It hasn't. But we fall into the same bickering back and forth. Yeah. Welcome, Landon Price and GitHub Enoch. Welcome on in. This was a surprise one. Had a little power outage and that wasn't going to stop me. I'm doing the show through my phone and I know the power will be back on, but that happens up here in the mountains sometime. But I made a commitment and I'm going to do it and follow through. But that's where my mind was today. Because again, even from here in Ghana, it's the first time, well, I mean, I went to Jamaica before, but that doesn't count because it's so close, right? But this is the first time I left the country and then relocated. And just because I moved to a different country doesn't mean I'm an expert on world travel. No, it doesn't. But certain things hit me that maybe you wouldn't realize, right? Living in America, everything's about America. Living out here, when I go near the airports, I don't see billboards advertising trips to the USA. I was like, whoa, you see Dubai, you see Kenya, you see South Africa, you see South America, you see, what do I want to talk about there? The clean country, the Asian country. But China, Japan, you see everything else advertised, and you're like, wait a second. Of course they have planes that go to the USA. But it hits you, it makes you realize that that's just but a small place in the entire world. They yield some measure of power that's falling, yes, but I'm gonna say it this way. I'm gonna say it the Ebonic way. Ain't nobody thinking about America. I mean, yes, the people here want to go because they believe the illusion, but going back down to the core, who doesn't want a better life for their children? Who doesn't want better schools for their children? Who doesn't want good health care? Who doesn't want peaceful streets to walk down at night? Who doesn't want a clean place to live? Who doesn't want true law and order? Not the law and order in America with the cops being the bullies and the thieves and the thugs. True respect. Even if you're different, we're passing each other in the street, we can show each other respect. But we're all in our bubbles. And we've been that way for a long time, but I'll tell you one thing. It really started to happen with the whole C-19 a few years ago. And it's funny to see how many years have passed. I mean, it's not like 50 years passed by, but if we're talking 2020, you know, this is 2026, but it's lasting effects. We got so used to being at home. We got so used to staying away from people because they might sneeze and have this thing. And it's mandatory social distancing. It wasn't just because of that C-19. They got us trained. The looks on our faces. I noticed that driving the bus in Orlando, Florida before I moved out here. Folks going to work and coming to work. And this is before the C-19. The looks on their faces, so disconnected, so unhappy. It doesn't mean you have to walk around all Prozac'd up, you know, like you're full of Prozac and everything is just so beautiful and fine. But over the years doing that job, I noticed that there were less conversations that were joyous as people started to feel the squeeze of different things. Higher prices, pay that doesn't go up. If the pay stays the same or even went up, the effectiveness of the dollar was diminishing. So it's all an illusion, but you feel it, but you can't put your finger on it. I noticed these things. I noticed how people were even more short-tempered in public and private and even with their children. Over the phones that people would talk on while I drove the bus, I would hear people breaking up. I would hear people fighting. I'd hear the pleas for more money because, could you loan me more? I'm not making it. People just saying, well, listen, you can come stay with me. And then a few weeks later, you hear them arguing on the phone about how they have to get out. The tensions of life. I mean, I never thought it was going to be euphoria. But when I was younger, like I said in the video earlier today really, that this is not the world that I expected. This is not the world that I signed up for. This is not the world that was insinuated. But we saw the trajectory and we still hoped. And now we find ourselves in more of a mess. But all I can say is that while I say that revolution will never happen as long as we remain separated, and some people are cool with that. But don't expect this big change to happen. Because if you don't get yourself in order and see how you relate to the rest of the world, even though others are going to be a little slower, you're going to have to tolerate a lot. Even in your own communities, even me in the Black African melanated community. It's just so much going on, but it's nothing that's impossible. We have the tools for it. But we got to shake loose this resentment, this envy, competitiveness, not wanting to see each other succeed. We're looked at overall as the bottom of the barrel. And our behavior toward each other is not going to bring us up higher. You see? Until we learn that, we'll never, no matter how much money we make, we'll never feel whole because we're not invested in each other. We're not showing each other the love that we need to show each other. I've told this to several people down through the years that I've known, brothers and sisters, but mainly sisters. And I would give them a compliment. These are very special people that I know that I can count on one hand. And I would tell them, I said, when I see you, I see home. I see a connectedness. I feel not that a woman's supposed to protect me, I'm supposed to protect her, but a sense of covering, a face that I can understand and that understands me. But now in the world, less and less, I'm getting that vibration. Things are drying up and we're allowing it to. We're not replenishing that feeling between us as a people. You go to the supermarket, you're standing in the checkout line, and you hear two people saying a joke or something comical, and you can't help but laugh because you're connected to this person. You don't know them, but there's something about their essence, and they turn around and see you laughing, and they turn around and say, yeah, right? You don't even know each other, but you're connected. What happened to that? I remember more of that. And it was joyous. And there were still issues back in those days. And I'm not an old man living in the past. But I can remember that. And if you could remember it, you can replicate it. You can bring it back. You can resuscitate it. Doesn't mean it's gone forever. But so many people now have run with that. And they swear that that's the way things are going to remain. It's going to remain as long as you don't change it. If you don't put gas in your car, it's going to run out and you won't be able to go anywhere. If you don't put food in your refrigerator, you won't be able to go in there to cook something to eat when you're hungry. So we've got to replenish the love and connectedness and respect that we have for each other and wishing that each other does better and good and being happy for them when it gets there. Because there are many in this world that feel they don't need us, or they use us for sure. They use our resources, use our bodies, use our minds. But we've become throwaways. And we've become throwaways to each other. And that's the sad part. That's the part that I don't understand. So I have a doggy bag of joy in my heart, meaning that when you have a doggy bag from the restaurant, you're taking home food that you couldn't finish, so they put it in a bag to bring home. So growing up, single-digit ages in the 60s and coming into being a teenager in the 70s and into adolescence and being an adult, I have huge doggy bags of love, community, and respect from those days. And I thought those doggy bags would last, but I find myself eating out of them more and more because I'm not seeing what I should see globally with us. And it's sad. because we should be able to look at each other and have a sense of being home, feeling at home, even if you don't know this person. I've traveled in the United States, and everywhere I went, I could find that kind of love somewhere. But over time, it got harder and harder. And yes, it's a little better here in the motherland, and there are issues here too. But on a basic village level, I see that in abundance. And again, yes, I'm not putting here over anywhere else, but I do see it. The lake, the pond, the river, the body of water that I sip from is more in abundance than what I've seen in America. And we do have good people in the United States. It's just that it's far and few between. The money, the greed, the status, the attention that we want. I was speaking to Madam Whitbass earlier today. Maybe soon we'll get her back on. She's been very busy. But I'm not so adept at quoting scripture. But I told her, I said, you know, it's so funny. We spoke for a good long time. It was talk show ready. After a while, I said, you know, we should have recorded this and put it out there because folks would have enjoyed the things that we said to each other. It's always been that way in the decades and decades that I've known her. But she knows scripture really well. You know, she studied that and grew up in that. That's why she's Madam Whitbass. But I said, there was a scripture that stated something to the effect that we will become lovers of self in a narcissistic way. They didn't say narcissism in the Bible, but it said there'll come a time where we will become lovers of self. And it hit me. You look at this TikTok, you look at YouTube, you look at Facebook, but more so Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. YouTube, you're pretty much watching. You know, it's interactive when a person's live, but there are people who post and it's all about them. Like, I'm not blaming the women now or saying it's just them, but a lot of our sisters are so caught up in this narcissistic thing and lovers of themselves and putting up the same kind of post all the time and making these faces and shaking their butt. You know, come on, man, it's got to be more than that. I'm going to talk about that visually when I do a visual video, when I'm sitting down here in the studio, showing my face. You'll see some of the things that I show you. Where are we going? You're spinning at the wheels. Where are we going with this? And then when they choose to wipe out your content and it's not there anymore, you do that work for nothing. If it's something low vibrational, if you touched somebody and motivated them, they will never forget it. That's what they can't do to us who want to really reach out to our people and share that energy. You may stop the vessel that contains the energy, your content, but when it's in someone else from what you said to them to inspire them, you can't take that away. This is why, like I said at the beginning, I'm on cruise control, just creating what I create, putting it out there and enjoying it. Because now this thing is used for the mind control and messing our minds up and keeping us separated. And there are some good things you can learn from, but you have to filter through so much toxic stuff. Content creators snuffing themselves out. I'm quite sure you heard of it. I don't know what country. I believe somewhere in Europe, somewhere, London maybe. I'm not sure, but there are two female content creators that I heard and it was sent to me. I was going to do something earlier, but I was so busy. And one was named the BBL Bully. I forgot the other one's name, but they had some foreign sounding names that I couldn't pronounce, their real names. And from what I heard, which they claim might be a rumor, they were good friends at one time, and they were doing good on social media with the worldly stuff. And then supposedly a guy came between them. You know, some guy that was messing around possibly with both of them, or they both wanted them, whatever. You know how that goes. They started fighting. They were in public and they caught it on video. I don't know if anybody here saw it, but they were caught fighting. They were dressed up and fighting. And one of the young ladies hopped in her car that was there and ran over the other content creator. And when she backed the car up, you saw her laying there lifeless. She's gone now. She's not with us. Why? This craving for attention and craving for more hits and craving for more, you want validation? This is something that's very fleeting. And people ask me all the time, well, hey, man, Scurv, how you feel, man? You ain't getting them hits that you used to get. You know what? When you look at the Rolling Stones, the group, right? Just using them as an example. As far as in that genre of music and a little bit beyond, they were hot. They were the thing. They had their fans. Nothing was hotter than them. I'm just using them for an example. There were other people in other categories who were just as hot. Then they got older. The world changed. They can't do what they used to do as far as the music is concerned, but I bet you one thing, they'll still sell out a stadium because of their fans, people who like them. You're not going to stay hot all the time. And if I did this to be hot all the time, I would have stopped it a long time ago. This is ingrained in me. This is what I do. This is what I love. I get just as much joy as I did 10 years ago or when I had so many more followers before they took the old channel down. It does not bother me. If you go back with me to when I was growing up and I would be sitting on my front steps on the house that I grew up in, 10, 15 guys, 20 guys sometimes, we're all sitting around talking, doing the same thing I do now. You know what I mean? So it's nothing that I'm going to stop doing. But we have to really understand why we do the things that we do. And I'm always in a mindset of checks and balances with myself. You see what I mean? And it's a whole different landscape now. As a matter of fact, I don't think I can go at it as hard as I used to because I don't want to. I want to keep it down to the people that we vibe together. Let's have a good conversation and vibe and make some comments and different things like that. It's just evolving. I found myself sketching and doodling today, nothing to put up to share, but my hand with a pencil, a pen in it, it feels so good to be back doing that. And I'll share some things soon. We're so multifaceted, we get caught up in seeing ourselves certain ways in such a narrow way. You know, again, the influence of this thing called social media and our phones, it's, I hate to say it, but so many of us were already unalived. We're already gone. This is not everybody, but we're on automatic, it seems like. We've been gutted of our humanity. It's like, okay, get up, go to work, come home from work, get something to eat, get on your phone, go to bed. We do the bodily functions. We eat, sleep, use the restroom, go through the motions of pleasuring ourselves in various ways and fetishes. And that's it. And we don't expect that much more. What happened to having the joy of waking up to another day? So many of us wake up and we're like, I know one person that I know very well from the past. I won't say who it is. You wouldn't know who it is anyway. Somebody I was involved with. And she'd wake up and the first thing she would do was suck her teeth. That's got to be the worst. What kind of mindset do you have that your creator woke you up this morning and the first thing you do is suck your teeth like, damn it, another day. Oh, man. Needless to say, I'm not around her for a very long time. Yes. And the energy of us that we share, the energy we throw off and we don't even realize we're throwing it off and we wonder why people don't want to be around us sometime. You know, there's a couple of people up in the village that when I walk up that way, I always dedicate a little time and talk with them if I'm not in a rush. We have the most wonderful conversations and we share things about the culture here and in America. And they know a lot already about America because it's already out there, you know, but just the detailed things. the mental things, the mentalities, and the things I'm learning here that I didn't know before. And we enrich each other that way. We have differences, not differences where we're evil on each other, but we were raised in a different environment. Let's try to learn each other. Let's teach each other. Let's expand each other. Instead of looking at each other like we're enemies because we're different. And we have a lot in common. I mean, my root is here in Ghana, but I was born in America. So they're going to look at me that way. But I always bring it together. And there's so many people that I talk to, and I'm going to ask them if, yes, Calamon, welcome on. Welcome on in, baby Rome is falling. You're right. You're right. And we'll fall if we're very attached to it. We got to detach away from it, you know, because many of us thought, well, you know, I'll ride out with this system and it's going to do me good. But we realize how much of our life force has been sucking out of us. And many of us don't want to change, or rather evolve, because that means letting go of what we know for the unknown. But that's my specialty. Me personally, that's my specialty. And this is what I always tell myself. What's unknown will soon be known. And I always use that example. Like when you go to a new job and you don't know the coworkers, you don't know the boss, or you might have met them in an interview and don't know if you're getting the job. And you're up the night before, oh, I wonder if they like me. I wonder if the work is going to be hard. Am I going to get along? And after a couple of weeks, you're like, I had nothing to worry about. So this is why I don't fear the unknown, because every so-called problem, which I call challenges, has a solution. You just might not know the solution yet. And that's what's made my life very, very interesting. And I'm not afraid to go beyond. I'm not afraid to evolve from being here. Maybe I'll be here for the rest of my life. Maybe I won't. I'm not afraid of that. When the world seems or appears to be safer, I do want to do more traveling. Like I said earlier in this live stream, it's a huge world out here. Yeah, inflation is deflating the people. Yes, it is. But if the people had unity and were together and pooled our resources, yeah, things are still going to get tight, but things would get better for us. But we're so separated in our thinking. If you come out here to Ghana, Calamon, do you think I'm going to have you go in a hotel? No, man, you're going to come here with us. Save the money. I'm not trying to say, well, come here with us and give us some money. No, this is how we have to treat each other, just like the small hats do. When they loan each other money, they don't charge interest. When they have their unions of marriage or whatever, everybody donates to that couple for the businesses they may get in to get them straight, but they have to do business in return with everybody who's invested. And of course, I'm not putting them above us because we know what they do. But why can't we do that? We're the original with doing that. But we seem to fall so far behind and see so many differences in ourselves. I just don't understand it. This is not going to be long. I just want to get it off my chest. If there's anybody want to come in, let me know. I'll put the link out there. Let me see if I can do this from the phone. Let's see. Let me get the link here. All right, and I'll drop this in the chat room before I leave out. And let's see. Like I said, I have a little power outage going on over here, so this is why I doing things from the phone, but the phone is real delicate. Yeah, there it is. I'll hang out for 2 minutes and see if anybody comes in. If not, I'm looking forward to a full day tomorrow, looking forward to a powerful day tomorrow to get a lot done. We have to talk to ourselves that way and program ourselves against the programming we get that slips into our subconscious mind that has us feeling rotten and defeated and beat up. When we have a challenge or something seems to be a little tougher, it should make our juices flow to say, I'm more mighty than this challenge in front of me, and I'm going to get over it, and I'm going to do it. When the lights went out, I could have said to myself, I'm not doing nothing. I had to do so many other things what I'm used to in my procedure and setting up a show. And here we are. I can sleep good because I whipped it. And whatever comes in front of me tomorrow, I'm going to whip it. I don't mean aggressively beat it down, but anything that causes me to have to think to overcome a certain challenge or what others would call a problem, I'm equipped for that. And we're going to make it happen. You see? Yeah, Calamunkin, he says, everybody wants to be chiefs in America. That's why I'm leaving. I got half my plane ticket. Prices are going up. People don't know the chain reaction, the domino effect that's going to happen behind this happening. And it's something, we have to think far ahead of, what's in our face. Because what it is today is going to be something else tomorrow, even more evolved. And if things happen to get back normal again and get back better, you better still prepare and still back yourself up on all levels. Depend on nothing out there. Depend on nothing out there. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist or somebody who's hoarding up food and, but make sure you're covered. Because in this world, anything can happen at the drop of a dime. And in America, especially many of us in America, we're not used to that. We're not used to wars being fought on American soil, but it very much well could be happening. Imagine hearing bombs drop where you live. Where are you going to go? You know what I mean? Hospitals knocked off, people getting killed, you walking over dead bodies. Imagine that. These are the things we see on the news all the time in other countries that they had to live through, different countries, revolutions and different things. But we for the most part, we've been through a lot in America, but not like that. And that could very well be a reality. North Korea has been testing some missiles that can possibly reach the United States. And this is not fear mongering. It's just like Kalamuk said, be ready. You got to have his ticket ready. DX, welcome on in. Yes. Like you said, Kalamuk, just like they say in boxing, answer the bell. Yeah, answer the bell. Protect yourself at all times. And never underestimate the opponent. Because he's not there to be your friend. He's there to take your head off and get the win. And then maybe you can shake hands afterward, but it's all business. In this world, it's all business. But if we get some unity under our belt, we can be so much better. Every day I go out in the yard and lay back in a chair for a little while, recalibrate, take a nature bath amongst the trees, and you see the insects and you see how they work together. I saw 3 beetles in the back, right? And here I'm laying in the chair face down, just watching the beetles. They were moving some type of, it was a small chunk of fruit or something, some kind of something that we have growing back there. And they were rolling it up in the dirt. And there was a little mud on one side. And one of the beetles got next to the mud and a bit of dirt fell on it. It was pinned under it for a while. And the other 2 beetles stopped rolling a piece of fruit and they moved the dirt. I was like, look at this. These are not even human beings. These are insects. And they abandoned what they did to go help the other one out. Again, why can't we do that? Why can't we be that way? It doesn't mean you're going to take your paycheck and pay the bills to everybody who lives in your neighborhood. You got to take care of yourself first. But it's all about me, 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 me. I got to get mine. Me, me, me. I don't care about the next person. Me, 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 me. And social media is making it worse. So you have to be shocking and confrontational and talking about somebody. Listen, I can do the gift to gab thing with the best of them and get all kind of controversy started, especially what I know, especially the things I know. I don't know more than most people. I'm talking about my years of social media, different entities, different people, different little secrets that are out there that I don't talk about. Woo. If I spill some beans, they might be coming after me to take my life. So who wants that? But social media is something where we're seeing the worst of the worst out there. It's all to grab your attention, take your life force, distract you, keep you angry, keep you separated, and you have to have some strong filters because there's a lot of, when I say attractive, I mean things that grab your senses and make you want to click on it. You got to look at it for what it is and say, I can't do this. Right, Calamunk. Too many me, and not enough we. Yeah, exactly. I see that with many other races, and I see a lot of us who are good people. Kudos to the Black folks out here, melanated people who look out for each other and have a kind heart. There are still some out there. So I'm not trying to make it seem like doom and gloom, but it's not as good as it used to be. You know what I mean? It's a whole different world. But listen, family, I'm going to get ready to wind down a bit. We're going to come back tomorrow with more. I got to run out. I may do some things, live streaming the street, just walking, showing you some different neighborhoods I'm walking through before I come back home. But I'm going to get a good deep sleep, meditated most of the day and got a lot of things done, and just putting out the good energy to those who I talk to. And Madam Whip asked, if you listen to this, thanks for that wonderful conversation, as well as I had with some other distinguished individuals that helped me to be who I am and to stay on a certain level. It's all about becoming better than you were the day before and seeing the world in a bit clearer. And don't believe everything that's told to you. Investigate it for yourself and vibrate high. So all of us, if I was a teacher, I would say this: your assignment is to be better tomorrow than you are today. Maybe there's something you need to learn. Maybe there's something that you need to clean out from your soul. Whatever it is, it's always going to be that improvement. All right? Much love to you all. Take care. LanceScurv out. And I will see you tomorrow on the next one. Unless I happen to jump up in the middle of the night with some thought in my head to say, hey, I got to talk about this. But you know how we do. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Go to LanceScurvX.com. Enter your email, sign up there. This show, as well as all the other stuff we do and the stuff that we don't do on social media, will be there directly in your inbox. It's free of charge. I ain't hustling nobody. We just want to spread the word. Anyway, have a good evening, afternoon, night, and we will talk. I see somebody made a comment here. Let me check it before I leave. And oh yeah, okay, Kyle Monk. All right. Well, listen, I'm gonna be back. We're gonna be back, you know. And I saw your comment, communal living is the answer, Lance, but my people don't see it. Exactly. Yes, Landon Price is protect your six heart that hit 3 people. Yeah, heard that hit 3 people. Yeah, so I'll be back, definitely. Thank you so much for being here, as always. Peace.